Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this Team Developer webinar. I'm glad you could join us this afternoon or wherever else you are in the world, whatever time it is. Your speaker today will be Farhan Sheikh, and your host is Martin Tietz. We will be having a webinar where Farhan will show you several things on moving existing applications from older Team Developer versions to TD 6.1 Win32. And at the end of that presentation by Farhan, we will do a Q&A session, and you will have the chance to post your questions into the WebEx Q&A tool or into the WebEx chat. And we will go through those questions towards the end of the webinar. So, your speaker today is Farhan Sheikh. He's a very experienced TD engineer. He works for Gupta Technologies since 2007. He actually has come to Gupta from Active Data Corporation, for which he worked since 1999 as an experienced TD engineer. You know, those are the guys that helped us create the TD.NET product by using their conversion product to C#. Lots of TD and TD.NET experience, and I'd like to hand over to Farhan now. I'm going to make you the presenter, Farhan, now.
Okay. How do I?
And please share.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I guess good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you guys are. And thanks for joining us today for this webinar on upgrading your TD application to TD 6.1. As Martin said, my name is Farhan Sheikh, and I've been working with Gupta Technologies for the past 6 years, working as a TD consultant as well as working on other Gupta tools and products. And fortunately, I've been recently involved in a bunch of TD upgrade projects, so I have pretty extensive knowledge and experience in upgrading TD applications to TD 6.1. So let's start with our presentation. So what we'll be presenting today is upgrading or moving your apps to TD 6.1 in Win32. Win32, I usually call it Win32 as a Team Developer native compiler. So we are not talking about .NET compiler. So bring Tom TD 1.5 to TD 6.1 Win32. So before I go over the agenda, just to give you what is our goal. Our goal here for me today is to show you the source of an old application called Tom in TD 1.5 and upgraded it to TD 6.1, again in Win32 compiler, which is Team Developer native compiler. And I'm going to show you simple steps to do that. Within 5 minutes, you can upgrade a complex application, and we'll go over some of the common issues you might face and how to resolve them. So, agenda for today is we'll go over the Team Object Manager history and features. As this presentation is not for giving the Team Object Manager all the features, it has neat features. I'm just going to go over quickly brief introduction and quick features for that. Then we'll go over some of the complexity of Team Developer application. Tom is a complex application, so we'll go over what are the complex issues involved in that application. Then we'll go over steps for migration, like build environment, setting up the build environment, checking the source compilation phase, compiling, and then testing phase. Testing, then I'll compile Tom 1.5 code into TD 6.1 code in 5 minutes. Then we'll do the introduction to Tom 1.5 source code, building Tom 1.5 using TD 1.5, migrating to 6.1 using batch file, and then we'll see some of the maybe compilation errors or some of the runtime errors that we have to fix. So Tom, Team Object Manager, just give you a quick brief history what we'll be working with today. So what is Tom? Tom is basically Team Object Manager. I don't know how many people are familiar with our product called Tom. It's a pretty neat tool. It basically allows team developers to work together in a team environment, and it still currently ships with our team developer product. So you can use it. It's free. Comes with the team developer. Reasons for selecting Tom application today is well, we selected this application because it's a very complex application that was developed actually by our internal Gupta staff, internal developers. So it includes a lot of external DLL calls, third-party control, and it even uses some of the undocumented TD functions. So just so you can appreciate the complexity of this application and see how easily we can convert that or migrate that into TD 6.1. Then I'm just going to go quickly over some of the features again. It's got integrated set of productivity tools. It's got class browser, team developer ID, div tool, stuff like that. Plus, Tom itself is like a version control system, but it's got even more features than version control. You can do div. You can do you can even modify your data structure for your database, and you can see your class hierarchies for your application and stuff like that. So now we know what we'll be converting. We'll be migrating or upgrading an application called Tom. So just to give you some of the differences that you may have different category of applications. We'll be working with the complex application today, but you may have a basic application. Basic application, I consider a basic application that doesn't have any external calls. Your application is totally built on using shell and VT code, native code, calls and functions. So when you are upgrading or migrating those kinds of applications, I would not expect any migration issues. You just follow the classic migration steps, use a migration wizard, or open it, your application, actually save it as a text and open it in your TD 6.1 IDE. So basic application should not have any migration issues, as Unicode is transparent inside TD, and all our database calls, access calls are already Unicode compliant, so don't have to worry about Unicode issues. Then we have a complex application category. In the complex application category, you have calls to like Win API calls, or maybe you have user DLL calls. So you might have to do a bit of work here. You will have to review your external calls, adapt for Unicode if there are any issues. Maybe try to use a new UI interface. You review your DLLs if using TD runtimes. Here what I'm trying to say is some people actually link the TD runtime DLLs inside their custom DLLs. I don't know how many people have done that, but Tom had a couple of those CDLLs that were linked back to TD runtime DLLs. So it's kind of a complicated one. So as I said, Tom, the application that we'll be upgrading or migrating today falls into a complex application type, since it uses CDLLs, which are user DLLs. It uses external function calls that might be sensible to Unicode. So we have to basically test and see if all the Unicode issues are resolved in this case. So the next slide we have here is I'm just giving you a best practice for doing a migration or upgrade process. You have to build your environment correctly. So create a build environment for your original application from where you can compile and successfully test your existing application. Make sure that you have the latest code that you are going to migrate. Because sometimes people are basically migrating their application, but the source code is out of date, and then they'll have a lot of issues going forward. They'll be like, why the application is not working the way it works in the original older version and all. So make sure you have a build environment set, and the original application can be compiled from there. Then, of course, you have to install Team Developer 6.1, and Team Developer can coexist with previous TD versions. So you can have different versions of TD on the same machine. One thing you have to make sure is that you have one version set in your system path. So that is an important aspect. Otherwise, it's going to pick up the TD DLLs from whatever version has set up in the system path. So make sure you set the path to the current version. And here, just giving you any updates. If you want to install, you can go to this website, guptatechnologies.com, services TD product download. Complexity of Team Developer application. So basic, so I'm continuing with the steps for migration. So checking the source, ensure that your application folder does not include Team Developer System APL. What I'm trying to say here is some people would copy over their for example, VT APLs into their application folder, and then reference those APLs from their application or hardcode the path to those system APLs. So make sure you don't do that because the new APLs, all the VT and other APLs have been updated for Unicode. Make sure also none of the TD APLs got merged into your source code. Again, I've seen people copying over the VT code into their APLs, or vice versa, copying or modifying the VT or other system or Gupta APLs and modifying them with your own code. So make sure that's not the case in your situation. If that's the case, then you'll have to basically use the latest system APL or TDV APL and then maybe add your code to it, your hard edit code. So then convert all outlines to text format. This is always a good practice. Migration wizard can ensure this. If you are sure all your source are in text format, then migration wizard is not needed. So if you are using a migration wizard, then you don't have to worry about converting your APPs into APTs text format. You can just use the migration wizard and it'll do the work for you. If you are not using the migration wizard, then you can you'll have to save your APPs into text format, and then you can do any like Notepad or any other tool to replace your DLL reference in outline to current version. So what I'm trying to say here is in the next step, basically you'll have to replace your older TD DLL to the latest one. So just go to the version name to your last TD version. For example, I'll be using 1.5 DLLs because I'm converting my app from TD 1.5. So all the DLLs are ending with 1.5. So I'll change that to 6.1 DLLs. Of course, as I said, Migration Wizard can do that, or you can do it in any text editor if you don't like to use Migration Wizard. Steps for migration: continuation, compilation phase. To load the main application in TD 6.1, if you are using a DynaLib like APDs unit first, so you have to rebuild your APDs, and it's always a good practice to go to the lowest or base APD first, and then build all the way up to the highest level of APD, because you can reference APD, one APD can have a reference to another APD. So to go to the lowest or base APD and build that, and then go up building all the way, all the APDs. If you are using ActiveX control, recreate the control from the control palette. Basically, you just drag and drop the control, ActiveX control that you are using in the TD 6.1 IDE environment. If you are using ActiveX library, recreate the interface from ActiveX wizard. So you will have to recreate your ActiveX libraries again in TD 6.1 environment. Actually, if you have application that was 4.2 and latest, you don't need to do that, but I would recommend you will still do that. It's a good practice to just rebuild your APLs in the latest version. And of course, you have to compile the application, and then once you compile it, of course, you are moving forward your application to a latest version. You might expect to see some compilation errors or runtime errors. So that's just giving you highlights at the bottom. Tom does not use any ActiveX components, only specific custom controls. Tom make use of APDs. In total, there are 9 APDs. So I'll show you. I'll be rebuilding the APDs also. Steps for migration testing phase: run the application in test mode. So of course, you have to run the application in test mode. You don't want to move your application after migration just to put it in production. So You do it in test mode. If your application behaves as expected in test mode, you're ready to QA the application. And if it doesn't behave the way you expect it to, then you don't have a basic application. The reason why it might be because you are probably using external function calls or user DLLs that are most probably sensitive to Unicode issues. The TOM falls in the complex application type. We'll see this next in our practical migration demo. So now I'm going to do the introduction to our TOM source code. So basically, I copied over. I'm showing you here the exact structure of our folders in the development environment for TOM. So we have two DLLs. Here you can see two DLLs. Both of them are linked back to TD DLLs, runtime DLLs. And we have one custom control called class browser. The compilation of this DLL is not required. We don't have the code, and we didn't have to. Actually, we got lucky. We didn't have to recompile that browser. It worked as it is. We have 9 APDs. You see that we have 9 APDs. We have 4 external tools, utility tools that we have built, and then we have one main TOM application called TOM. One application. So as you can see, it's a pretty complex application using 2 DLL, custom control, 9 APDs, external tools with one main application. So here we are going to be building TOM 1.5 using TD 1.5. So first, I'm going to show you, of course, as I said in my previous one of the previous slides, that we need to make sure that our build environment, current environment, is actually working and compiling, and it's in up-to-date code we have. One of the things I mentioned was you have to make sure your path is set for the version you want to use. So right now I'm going to be using 1.5 team developer, so I need to set the system path for that. So here, let me show you. I just set the system path to the TD 1.5. So it's going to pick up all my files or runtimes from TD 1.5. So I've set my system path to TD 1.5. Now I'm going to build the 2 user DLLs that are custom DLLs. So this is one of the DLLs I built. I'm not going to build both of them. It's going to take a while to do all those things. So just showing you just how we are making sure that the current environment is all set up for TD 1.5 TOM application to work. Then we have to build all our APDs. So it's the base APD that I built. So I have to build, I have 9 APDs, so I have to build 9 APDs. I'm not going to open all the 9 APDs right now and build it. I'm going to do it in the batch. That's fine. Then you build the external tools. I didn't have to rebuild the external tool because we don't have the code, and the DLL seems to be working without any issue. And finally, TOM main application. So I'll be using batch file to build all TOM current application. So Just to give you a quick overview of my batch file, again, here in the batch file, I have to set my path to use TD15. And this is to ensure that when I'm running or building my APDs, all the files will be picked up from TD15 folder, with system folder. Then I just, you don't need to worry about this. I'm just setting up the Microsoft environment to build my DLLs in Visual Studio 2010. Then I'm going to clean up my current DLLs and all the APDs and all the executables. And I'm going to build the two DLLs, and I'm going to build the new executable, the APDs. I'm going to build them all starting from the base APD and build all the 9 APDs. And I'm going to build the tools, external tools that Tom uses. And then I'm going to just build my main application, Tom. So as you can see in the batch file, all you are doing is you can basically run your executable using the batch file or build it. You have to make sure you have to set the path. As I said, if I'm using TD15, I'm going to set the path TD15. So let me run my batch. I just opened up the Explorer, File Explorer, to show you that I'm going to build all my APDs and APLs live in front of you using that batch file. Just setting my Microsoft environment, deleting all my, as you can see, I've deleted all my APDs and my executables. I'm building my DLL using Microsoft in a batch mode, Microsoft Visual Studio. So you see I've built two DLLs, custom DLLs. I'm going to build Tom APDs using TD15. So all the APDs are built, I'm creating all the tools for my TD15 environment. And now you are ready for, I mean, basically I've built Tom again to make sure all the code is compiling and up to date, and we can do testing with that. Make sure everything. Okay, let me just quickly build it's connecting to data. There's something wrong with my INI. Oh. Anyway, so basically you connect to the, I have to see why it's not, maybe I need to shut down the database and open it again. Sorry, I need to set the path. It was connecting, I don't know what happened. Anyway, so it's probably has to happen right now. So let's keep moving on with the webinar. So basically we built all our app. You saw that it compiled and everything. We can do the testing of Tom, but unfortunately I don't know why I can't connect right now to the database. The next step is migration to 6.1 using the batch file. So as you saw that I've built my application, TD15 application, Tom application, and it seems to be building and compiling, but unfortunately I couldn't connect right now to the database, but we'll see what happens with our migration to 6.1. So here what I'll be doing is I'll be using the same similar batch file, but compiling it in TD 6.1. So I'll show you quickly what I'm doing here is it's pretty much the same kind of batch file, but here I'm setting the environment to be TD 6. And then I have, again, same setting of the IDE for Visual Studio 2010, and then compiling my DLLs again, user DLLs, and then basically delete them in this case, and then I'll copy my source files from TD15 environment to 6 folder, and then I'm going to just use CBI62 to compile my application code on the executables and APDs using the 6.2. So let's see what happens. Yeah, it'll be copying the original code, source code to a new directory called Tom62. It'll be using CBI6, actually 2 I'm using, instead of CBI15 executable. Build the user DLL with 6.1 includes and the latest libraries check all the TD outline and replace in our outline text file. So if there is any 1.5 DLLs, I'll be replacing it by 6.1 DLL. Then I'll build all our 9 APDs using the new executable CBI 6.2 executable, and I'll build external tools and Tom main application. Of course, I'm going to set the environment to TD 6.2. As I showed you here in the beginning, I have to set the environment for TD6. So let's do that. So again, I opened up the File Explorer. So I'm copying all the source to a new folder called Tom62, and I'm setting up deleting all the APDs, and I'll be deleting all the APDs again and executables in the Tom62 folder that I just copied from TD15 folder. So I deleted all of them. You can see that. Now it's going to build my new DLLs using the TD62 DLL. I'm actually using, as I said, you can use any search and replace tool to replace your 1.5 DLLs to 6.2 DLLs. So I'm using a free open source tool called FART to do that. It goes through all the APLs and look for 1.5 DLLs and replaces them with 6.2 DLLs. Then I'm building Tom APDs. As you can see, it's using a 6.1 IDE or environment to build my new APDs because I'm using CBI 6.2 executable in my batch file. So now it's building the tools. Oh, there's an error. So you would expect some errors, of course, since we are compiling our code in 6.1, and I'll go over that, what error it is and how we fix it. It's building class browser tool and the main application. So you see that we have a couple of errors, actually one error for SQL WNTM DLL could not be loaded. So this is an error we see. Go back to our both Tom installer tool and the main application failed to build when migrating to TD6.1. The why it failed was because since TD6.0 we have renamed the SQL WNTM DLL to SQL WNTM 10 DLL. The reason for doing that is we've been using this SQL WNTM DLL name since, I don't know, since it came out TD 1.1 or something like that, and we never changed it. And it got to the point where people got confused which SQL WNTM belongs to which version. So we decided to change the name, and we changed the name to SQL WNTM 10 DLL for TD6.1 and forward. So if you have again two versions of TD on machine, you have to set only one system path to ensure the right DLL would be picked up, as there would have been no error, and you wouldn't, because you would be using the wrong DLL version. So if I hadn't set up my path to TD6.1, I would have probably picked up the SQL WNTM DLL from TD15 and we wouldn't have gotten those two errors, and we wouldn't be able to. Of course, if we don't find it, we don't fix it, and then when you run the application, you find runtime errors. So it's important that you set the system path correctly for the particular version that you want to use. So let's fix that first in tminst app. That's where the installer had compilation issue. Let me go back to the 6.2 installer. Open that. So this is the error we saw. We gotta go and fix that. So now the error is gone, and we can build executable successfully. And so we built the installer executable successfully. Now we can build the Tom main application that had an error. So here's Tom. Okay, so we see some of the issues with the some of them are not converted, so we have to make sure that we change them with
Farhan,
yeah.
I think you took the code from the wrong directory. That's why they weren't updated. You were on the 1.5 directory now.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, good catch. That's why. Yeah, you were right. Okay, yeah. So that's we fixed one of the SQL WNTM, and it fixed on this one also because it had the reference to the same APL. So now we have another issue. Once we fix the SQL WNTM DLL reference, now we see another compilation error that we need to fix. So what error we are getting here is basically it's complaining about wrong data type. So one of the things that we have done since, let me go back to since TD15, many things have changed, especially in TD 2000 with introduction to COM, and we made our TD compiler stronger in data type checking. So in this case, what was happening was somebody had maybe a buggy code, but the compiler didn't check the right data type for that variable, and it allowed us to compile in 1.5 code, but it won't allow us to do it in 6.1 because it needs the right data type in TD 6.1 or 6.2. So we have to make sure that we are passing the right data type in this case. So I have to change the right data type. So I found out this. I mean, you'll have to do some research if you find some of this kind of issues. You'll have to find and see what exactly which data type it requires. In this case, I did some research and found out, okay, this is the right data type it requires in the variable. Then I try to compile it, and I found another issue. This is basically accumulation of this got introduced because of the wrong data type that was passed. So now, since we have changed the data type for this visual info array, we don't need the instance variable to get to the function called getNodeType. So I can just go to the getNodeType directly, since I have the right variable type, function class variable type. I should be able to compile. So we built it successfully, and let's go back. And now we have basically we've compiled our application in TD 6.1 with some of the issues that we faced was pretty simple. We just fix them and move forward. Go back to this way. So as you're moving forward into TD 6.1, some of the things you need to remember. DDE support was removed since TD 2000, so it must be replaced by typically by you should have COM replacement for that. For example, I mean, people used to check for another instance of application running or communicating with other applications using DDE. Now you can replace it with ActiveX or COM object for doing the same. And there's another thing you could do is when you are doing the compilation, there's a compiler setting you can set to enable compiler warnings. This will give you all the warnings if you have deprecated functions that you need to take care of, or will give you all the lesson output. So this is one of the neat tools that you can use. Another thing is we've deprecated cell str and set buffer length and cell str get buffer length since TD 5.2. This was due to the fact that cell str set buffer length and get buffer length in the older version. Team developer was basically padding an extra byte to take care of Unicode issues. But since TD 5.2, this is not a problem anymore. As TD internally take care of Unicode, you can replace these functions with cell set buffer length and cell get buffer length. And your code should work in theory shouldn't have any problem, but you might want to just make sure, do the testing on those functions that it's working. Okay, dynamic menus in Tom. And here I'm just showing you there's some of the features that Tom is using. Tom only exposes the dynamic menus and context menus, not in menu bars. So it's not using any dynamic menus in menu bar. So the migration for us, for me, was easier. I didn't need to use the cell get menu and cell update menu APIs calls. There is a webinar on Win API calls on our website. You can check it out to get more info on that. Next session actually is modernizing Tom or updating your Tom application for Unicode issues. So quick testing. So we'll do a quick test. I hope we can connect to the database using the TD6.1. So we can just, as you can see, we built our application and all APDs in TD6.1 quickly using the batch file within 5 minutes. So it's a surprise that you could do it in 5 minutes and move forward your application decade or so. In most of the cases, I'll show you hopefully that application is working, but this is not going to. I'm not going to say that all the code is going to be working because there might be some Unicode issues. As you know that we are using Win API calls and user DLLs. So those Unicode issues will be actually related to those user DLL calls and passing back and forth some information. So this way, this is what we will cover hopefully in the next session, the Unicode issues. Let's just do the quick testing and hopefully I can show you what we converted is working. So I go to Tom. So this is what we've built. Let's start with first the features. I can show you quick features also of Tom. It's supposed to create you're supposed to create a repository first. I'll name it 6.2. Our database is Tom test. So we created a new repository in database called Team Developer 6.2, and I'm using the migrated code. I didn't name it 6TMDBI62EXE, but as you can see, this is in Tom 6 folder that we just built using the TD6.2 executable or IDE. So the first thing in Tom is you create a repository that you will work with, and then you connect it. Okay, this one is connecting. As you can see from the forms also, this is built in TD6.1. You can see the appearance, the modern appearance. So it needs a starter project. A starter project is basically a template for your projects to hold all your file information and function information and all. It's kind of a template. So this is we are in. This is all in TD6.1 that we just 6.2 that we just migrated. And this allows us to basically import new projects. I'm just showing you guys just the complexity of this application, that how complex how much complex it is, doing all the neat stuff. And we just migrated this application, and we are in TD 6.1 right now. As you can see, this one has has a bunch of files that you can basically check out and check in. Working folder, yes, you can check out this, and you can modify it. So all those neat stuff you can do. Let's see if I have any windows. Yeah. See, this is one of the things why it's happening is because we are trying to look at the outline for TD15 and TD62 because I didn't modify this application or APP, which is just a demo project for me. So you can't watch, you can't see the outline here, but you can check out and then maybe save it in 6.2 and open it here. So let's do that. Let me check out this APP, quick final APP. So I checked it out in working folder. Anyway, so basically you can check out, I don't know why it's not opening my, let's see, okay, final, check out, in working folder, okay, yes it is in the previous version. Oh, working. I don't know why it's not opening, but maybe it's was up. So basically, this application will allow you to connect to databases. You can connect to databases, and it allows you to modify your databases and check in, check out your files. And you have even team roles. You can assign team roles as a project manager, developers, and stuff like that. So I mean, the point here was for me not to, give you the features of Tom. It would be in itself a demo for a couple of hours. The point here was to show you guys that we migrated or upgraded the Tom application within 5 minutes, and as you can see, most of the things seems to be working. There might be some issues related to Unicode that we'll go over hopefully in the next webinar. And I think that should be, yeah, that should be it. And thank you. And if you have any questions, you can ask us, and hopefully we can answer you. If I don't have any answer, I can get back to you guys on that.
Thank you very much, Farhan. This was very good to see how easily you could migrate a huge application to TD 6.1. So if you have questions, please put them in the Q&A tool or into the chat tool of WebEx. Here's a question. If we use comp controls and have the option to choose, shall we use the Unicode version or the normal version of these controls?
If you have a comp, yeah, you should, moving forward, always use the Unicode version.
Another one is if you have an idea about how to migrate the CTD app that has a Crystal reports engine. I don't know if you ever experienced that, if you can comment on that one now.
Crystal reports, yeah, it depends on, are you also migrating your Crystal reports to the later version, or you want to keep the Crystal reports in, let's say, for example, Crystal 9 or 8. Crystal report is, I think right now is Crystal 2008 or 2011 came. So I don't know which version are they planning to keep the version same or the latest version. We can help them do that. Again, it depends on how they are using it. If they are using it as a COM object, then they'll have to drag and drop those controls, report controls on the TD 6.1 IDE, and if there are any like APLs that were generated using the Crystal components, then they have to regenerate those APLs in TD 6.1 using the TD 6.1 ActiveX wizard.
Thank you.
But other than that, it should work. I mean, it depends on, again, are they planning to migrate their Crystal report also or not? That will be the first question for them to ask themselves, I guess.
And another question is, do we have anything to run on application code that will assess what needs attention when upgrading?
Yeah, as I said, use that the compiler warning. That should give you some of the hints. If there are deprecated code, there might be some problem issues there while you are compiling. And other than that, mostly you'll see the Unicode issue is the only main thing you might see, and that only impacts the applications that are using Win APIs or user DLL calls. And for that, it's mostly you will have to do testing, and it will show up in the runtime. As I said, even in Tom application, we have some issues. Our application compiled fine and without any problem. I mean, there were some issues that we fixed, like WSQL and change the DLL, then the data typing issue. Those were the compilation issues. But then we'll see if we do the webinar on Unicode, we'll see that those Unicode issues will show up during the runtime when we are doing some testing. So those issues are can only be exposed, I guess, during the execution or testing phase. We don't have something that gives you that. And as I said, if you have issues, it's 99% of the chances are that it'll be related to Win API and user DLL calls. And
Another question is, we are still running version 1.1.2. Should I plan to go to 1.5 first and then 6.1, or should I go right to 6.1?
I think you can, I have to see, is 1.1 16-bit or?
No, that's 32-bit.
Then, yeah, you can go directly to 6.1. There shouldn't be a problem.
And there's a request to have the batch files you used available as downloads. I can post them on the TD community tomorrow, and we will send you those attendees an email with the contents. Also, we have recorded this webinar, and this webinar will be available on YouTube tomorrow on the Gupta Technologies YouTube channel. Look at the TD 6.1 playlist. And also will be featured from the Gupta homepage. And another question here, do you have the upgrade process documented? And if so, can you share the documentation?
I guess we can give them these slides, the best practices for doing the migration process.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Actually, one other attendee asked me to have the slides of this webinar are already available on the Team Developer community site. And again, with that email that we will be sending you tomorrow, you will get access to the slides, to the batch files, and I will also include the link to the YouTube recording. And I think those are the questions we have received.
Okay.
So let me just switch back to myself. Thank you again, Farhan. This was really good.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, that was the first time I did that, so hopefully it was okay.
It was very good, actually. So. And here's where you can find more information about Gupta on our website. You can send us an email at info@guptatechnologies.com. Watch our Facebook page, Facebook Gupta Technologies, or the YouTube channel where we'll post this recording tomorrow. So thank you very much for attending today's webinar. As Farhan said, we will do another one about the Unicode details that we will also need to look into for Team Object Manager in hopefully early April, but we will all send out an invitation for that in a few weeks. So thanks again for attending, and wish you a good day or evening wherever you are in the world. Thank you. Goodbye.